Okay, so there's the link. You can always get the link back if you hit !paper. We're gonna give this a little review, and we might rate it afterwards if you're in chat. Everyone gets to rate. You get to do that by using emotes, and the emotes will be your review will be immortalized on the internet. Just like this. This will be Philosophy Roulette 509. This is 502 here. Name, thing, link, and your name can appear on my website. Just like Cinesemiotics, or Ivan Neo, or Tindarios before you. And so you can participate. This is an interactive thing. Is that even a paper? It's an editorial. This is what this is. So we will find out. Cracks knuckles. Yeah. And you never know. Like, this is Valpo. This is recommended by Valpo K. Valpo K is a smart person. That doesn't mean this is a smart website, but it was something he was going to take a look at for some reason, and he asked me to take a look. So that's what we're going to do. So here we go. What the humanities can offer in this technological moment. Even right off the bat, no matter what day in history, you are at the cutting edge of humanity. Like 500 years ago, that was the cutting edge. 1,000 years ago, that was the cutting edge. Of course, technology has been lost. Knowledge has been lost in various places and times. But you are almost always at the edge of technology. O'Neill says, since Cinesemics seems not to be... You'll be here, you'll say it, everything is a text, yes. We appreciate the semiotic position he brings in, and the hermeneutic, like, sort of always trying to see how are we actually interpreting this, what is this, what's signified, what are the signs. I'm always happy to have him here. He's got some, he's got a different perspective than most, and it's helpful, and he also knows a lot about film. Okay, so this is one of those things. We're always in a technological moment. I don't know this, the Christian sanctuary. I'm assuming it's a religiously oriented thing here. And so there's always the question of how technology and like religion interact. Reminds you of a debate you watched between Dawkins and a creationist? Okay. Well, if you have more to say about that, interesting. If not, it's like we have to see what this says. You don't want to read too much into the title, of course. We do that all the time. All right. The growth of artificial intelligence is opening a conversation for which ethicists and theologians are uniquely qualified. This is one of the growth areas in philosophy too. Ethicists and technology, people who understand how people interact with the tech. So it's like, this is I'm not against this. Author says, I spend my days thinking and writing and teaching about purpose. I'm a theologian, so officially I think and I write and teach about God and God-related things, but I understand my vocation as having made the choice to live inside the question, so what? The world is here, and so am I, and so are you. So what? This is the realm of theology. It's painfully funny to watch. You can send okay, I can't watch it right now, but yeah, it's annoying when you get, people who are basically talking past each other, and if one of them is just not as good, you're just oh god, why? Okay. It is also the realm of philosophy. Hey, that's what I'm doing here. The discipline to which theology is both indebted and somewhat inextricably bound. Personal dynamics aside, theologians and philosophers do much of the same work on campuses, especially with undergraduate students, by asking questions that get to the heart of the human experience. Yeah, and this is, you know me. I'm asking what is the phenomena, what is the experience in question, even if, let me zoom in on this. Yeah. So, I'm always asking, what is the experience that the philosophers are talking about? Last time we were talking about nostalgia. What is the experience of nostalgia? Is it the experience of transitoriness that, we think we somehow were forgetting about? And, we thought that was stupid, but, that was the question. What is the heart of the human experience in nostalgia? Was it the transitoriness? We thought not, and so did the author, but, this is the question. I am with the theologian on this is an important question. Okay. Author says, and now we can broaden this project to other disciplines that see themselves this way. History, visual and performing arts, and literature, the cluster of human experience-centered disciplines we call the humanities. All right, one little stupid thing here. They used an M dash and then a hyphen within 4 words of each other. Don't do that. I had no idea what was going on there for a second. All right. I've recently been having a lot of conversations about artificial intelligence. Inevitably, these conversations begin with a mix of conspiracy theories, frustration, and fear. And if you, I'm sure, like chat here, you're somewhat, well, most of you are somewhat technically advanced. A lot of people are in tech here. I summarize the summarization. Yes. So I've had conversations with people, and this is what people have this on their minds. A lot of people have this on their minds. They are nervous. They don't quite know what's happening with the AI, and they're afraid it's gonna like fuck up society. Yeah, typographical horror. Yeah, like that's actually a thing. Unreal. Like typographical horror. Like the words are just like scaring me. It's like I can see it in the page because I have to read everything out loud. Like it literally, like this may be one sort of thing that like I have to experience more than others because I'm reading things I don't know so much online. It's like, yeah, typographical horror is a problem here. Okay. Who is watching us and listening to us? Oh God. If you have Windows 11 and you start playing like Solitaire, my mom plays it, and you have a fucking webcam plugged in, the webcam turns on during Solitaire. It's watching you. I pointed this out to my mom. I'm like, that is super fucking creepy. Windows 11 turns on the fucking webcam during your Solitaire game. I said it to her enough times. Hey, what's up, Lumpy? How you doing? She put a fucking piece of paper over it. I was like, fucking hell. Like, seriously. Yeah. So, oh yeah. Do I need to give people shout outs? Let's give Lumpy a shout. I shouted out Ivan, I believe, earlier. Shout out Lumpy. Lumpy is a Minecraft streamer and chemist. And you can go chat with Lumpy while he makes cool fantasy buildings in Minecraft. Yeah, mom doing OPSEC. Yeah, let's remember strip solitaire is not a thing. No. Well, you could make it a thing, but only your FBI agent should be watching. Yeah, so who is watching us and listening to us? Who is really in control here? Yeah, like, it's like if you are running modern operating systems, unless you know what you're doing, it's not you. You're going to return to streaming on Saturday evening? Lovely. Yeah. What is happening with all that data? And to sum up a lot of it, cui bono? Who is benefiting? Yeah, let's follow the money, of course. Like, this is always a good question. Who is benefiting? Who's following the money? Just go follow the money. Some people I talk to feel secure that AI could not replace them. No robot could ever do what I do. Others feel the threat acutely. I've already seen AI starting to replace many of my daily tasks at work. A lot of people around here are kind of nervous about that. Not where I work, because I tend to work with people doing stuff. But there's anyone working in tech starting to get nervous. How am I? I'm in the afterglow of the conference. The conference gave me no afterglow. I got out of that fucking conference, actually. The best part about, like, I wanted to see what it was like to go. I went to the APA Easter and I crashed it, which is one of the biggest philosophy conferences in the world. But I did get a free drink ticket from a grad student I knew, and that was cool. So I got a free gin and tonic. But like, I have work in the morning. That thing, it's like, if I want to hang out for a few hours and go schmooze with people, I could have done that, but I have work in the morning. I was like, I have to go home. I could have spent maybe an extra 20 minutes there, maybe 40 minutes, but it wasn't really worth it. There was no one I was actually wanting to speak to. I hadn't planned ahead. So maybe if I had planned ahead, but I did not. Unreal says they're trying to automate parts of my civil service job and it's going spectacularly poorly. Yeah, so that's the other half of it. It may not work yet. It may work in the future, but like tech people, like you, what's it called? Sports Illustrated just laid off all their staff or something because basically they're going to have like a AI write all the articles. They're just going to feed it in and like, have an editor clean it up. So it's like, you don't need sports staff to go out and read, figure out what's going on. If you just like, get a few quotes and then like have someone like AI just make it. So it's starting to replace some jobs. Of course, most of them are not yet in danger, but they will be. And, if you were following Andrew Yang years ago, he was beating the drum during the last two, I guess, or whatever, presidential campaigns, saying basically when we have self-driving trucks, that's going to decimate like a huge industry. Because the truck driving is a massive job source in certain areas of the country. And as soon as that's gone, all that money has just disappeared. So it's like, it's going to happen. Mid-Journey, imagine a swimsuit centerfold. I mean, yeah, like people, they're making AI porn. Of course they are. Unemployed by no fault of their own. Exactly. Near says, at the meeting, poked people with stick, do philosophy. Yeah. I mean, there were a million talks at the thing. If you had any interest in one area, you might not find something specific, but you could talk to people. There were definitely people in your area that you could go find. So it's like, if you wanted to network, if you wanted to go schmooze with those people, a lot of these people, like, they're not from like big departments or from areas where there are lots of philosophy departments. You can imagine, like, you're from a small school and like you might only have a few philosophers in the area. You come to this big thing and all of a sudden there's like millions of like there's just thousands of people you can talk to. It's like, that's cool. Me, I'm in maybe the best city in the world for philosophy. I mean, it's like here, London, Paris. We're talking, you have to be in a major city for this sort of thing. So it's not the same for me. I can go see philosophers any old time I want. It's amazing how we are rushing to evict humans from civilization. Well, that's capitalism. We're like, I don't want to evict people from civilization, but like the money, people cost money because they don't want to do crappy jobs for unless they're getting paid like a lot of money, and they're like, well, I don't want to pay you a lot of money. I just want the money for myself, so that get the AI in there because you don't have to pay computer shit. So we have to set things up differently at this point because it's like, yeah, that's exactly. We're just evicting people from their lives at this point. Everything in the past is not going to like work the same as it goes forward. And you can't tell people, oh yeah, learn to code, because the tech industry is not like what it used to be either, because you're going to have AI coders too soon, like you already do. And so there's nothing like we can just be like, oh yeah, shift this way. Ain't that easy. This is like, that's not how it's going to work. And so, yeah. So AI is starting to replace many of my daily tasks at work. Detroit, not a great city to be an amateur philosopher. Yeah. I mean, maybe it is, but you're not going to go meet people probably doing academic philosophy. Although I don't know what schools are out near Detroit. I'm sure I think there's some good philosophy departments in those schools, but again, maybe not the best place. And that's why we're on Twitch. Okay, continuing. It's right around this point in the conversation that I feel a surge of pedagogical energy. Oh, this person's like, it's my time to shine. Other teachers will know this moment well. A student says something in class that opens the perfect door and you rush through it excitedly, making just the right connection or raising the next well-timed question that moves the class forward. I live for these moments. To feel a conversation move like that, to gesture to the open door where students had previously thought there was a brick wall, it inspires my faith in the power of education. Unreal says if I drove and were willing to drive over the Ann Arbor, things would be a lot different. Yeah. So, okay. But again, it's the funniest little thing. Sometimes you're just on the wrong, like you say, you're on the wrong side of a river or whatever. And it's like, you want to go spend an hour to go do something, or do you want to sit home and be comfy? So it's like, that's how it goes. You have to spend a lot of time if you want to go see something live. It's not so easy. So it's like me. It's like I don't work Mondays because I told my boss I'm not working Mondays. I'll work around it because I'm going to go fucking do philosophy on Mondays. I don't tell him why. I just say I'm not working Mondays. He goes, okay, we'll figure it out. And they're like, is that okay? Or like, I used to work half days on Mondays. So I'd go into work and then I'd leave to go like to my philosophy talk afterwards. And they were like, okay, whatever you want to do. If you want to work half days, like, is the work done? They'd ask me. It's like, yeah, then it's fine by them. But it's like, you have to make a not necessarily dedication or dedicate your time in that way, but it's not the easiest thing. See, anything helpful at Wayne State? Yeah, see, now it's like you have to go figure out who is where, like what could be done. So, okay. It is in these moments that the conversation turns to the biggest questions of the human experience to solve the so what questions. They help us see the unity of truth across disciplines, exploring how various approaches and bodies of knowledge can be brought to bear on this question of purpose. Nevertheless, those of us in the humanities feel an urgency to defend our existence. As soon as I forget about it and return my focus to my teaching or writing, the phrase the challenges of higher education pops up in a meeting, usually on the lips of an administrator who wants me to think about how to recruit and retain students. My faculty colleagues and I nod in dutiful agreement, but I have to admit that sometimes I spend the rest of the meeting thinking about what exactly those challenges are. Lumpy says, supporting human lives is supposed to be the primary objective, but I'm baffled at how we loathe each other. Or do we? I hold that my little luxuries are not anathema to other people's little luxuries, but many do think it's a zero-sum game. Yeah. And this is the homo economicus sort of view of the world that we've inherited in the capitalist West, where we do treat things as zero-sum. And if you're looking at everything as like an economic question, then everything has an economic solution. And if you are not doing something useful, you're doing something bad. And it's like, well, useful to whom? To the economic machine. It's not. This is not what we are. We are not homo economicus. Like, this is a silly way to look at things just by, well, where are the numbers and the economic output? That's not like, it's a theory of like economy, not a theory of what is the good life or how society should be set up. It's a theory of how economy is now. This is contingent. This is an accident of history that we are here. It's not how things necessarily should be. And so this is why it's like, well, this is how things are. It's like, no, this is how things are now at the moment. That doesn't mean that they need to be this way. And so, yeah. So again, capitalism, but again, that's just like history. Not necessarily capitalism, is just where we are now and where we need to get ourselves going to. But yeah, and that's also the thing. It's like, well, you see rich people like, oh, those poor people shouldn't have like, you know, iPhones. It's like, fuck you. They are like, people are allowed to have cool stuff, have a good time. It doesn't matter if they're rich or poor. You want to have like some cool stuff. You want to have a nice life. You want to have like some cool things you can do. If you get yourself like a modern phone, you can like make videos, you can do music, all sorts of cool things. And that should not be only the purview of the wealthy to have like leisure and make art. Like, that's just nuts. So, like, yeah. And so, yeah. So here we go. What are those challenges for my administration and many others? I'm sure the challenges are primarily financial. Like, again, we're worried about money because the people who are in charge are, you know, money peoples. Not just the wealthy. AI also gets to make art. I don't think the AI gets to make art. The AI gets to sit there while we input prompts. And then it makes art. But, like, we have to be involved in it. If you wanted it just to, like, you know, spiral out of control, it can do that too. But I don't know if that would actually make anything that people care about. Lumpy says, plus nice electronics are accessible to all, and they provide an okay computer for me. Yeah. Around here, you know, there's a question about homeless. Of course, in most big cities and everywhere else. But, like, if a homeless person has a semi-decent cell phone, that will give them access to so many like government resources, ways to, like, you know, banking, all sorts of stuff. And it's like, you need to have like a little bit of just like a decent cell phone, and then all of a sudden you can do banking, contact government, schedule like appointments, all sorts of things. So it's like, this isn't a luxury. This is the necessity of being part of our society at the moment, and these people are part of our society. So it's just the what is it? I'm losing words because I'm tired. It's not the patronizing of like rich people. Like, oh, I know what's good for poor people. Fuck you. You don't know goddamn shit about how people's lives are. So these things annoy me. The reason that the homeless have a cell phone, they're giving them via programs where people donate phones. Yeah, and that's a good thing. We need people to be connected so that they can, you know, at least participate in whatever programs that, you know, that will help them. This stupid debate was big around the days of the Syrian civil war access. Yeah, at least in Michigan, I think you have a go online to apply for unemployment benefits. Yeah, and the government people who don't like actually those things, they make those government programs super hard to access, because they know if they make one or two extra steps, not everyone who will have the patience to go fill out those online forms. But at least you're giving people somewhat of an opportunity here to connect with and see that there might be something there. It might not even be cell phone, the free Wi-Fi to talk. Yeah, connected cells. Yeah, so again, in New York we have some free Wi-Fi and people can get cell phones. It's like, yeah. Now, do you have like a homeless person like watching porn in the street sometimes? Yes, you do. That happens. But you know what the fun thing was? For the first time ever, I was standing on the subway, and this wasn't that long ago, and the guy who was not homeless, he was just some guy, I looked down and he's watching porn on his cell phone. I suspect it was a link in like an email because it looked like he was looking at his email and he clicked on something. But like I'm all of a sudden like there's just like hardcore porn just going off on the like right next, like right here. Like right here. I'm just like, God damn it. But it was inevitable to happen eventually. It's like, this is a public subway. It wasn't like it was an empty subway. It was a bunch of people. No one else was right next to that guy, but I was like, God damn it. No, I don't think it had sound Tindarios, but it was like explicit, and like if you're not that far away, you could see it. Well, I've got a lot of dumb stories to tell, but it's, yeah. It's like there's all sorts of stupidities. I mean, I was talking to my buddy at work, and he dated a girl at the job, and like, it didn't end well. Like, it didn't end badly, but like, they're just really awkward, and it's driving him nuts at work. It's like stupid little things. It's driving him crazy that they don't get along, and they have to see each other at work. It's like the levels of like dumbness, like stupid. I'm like, welcome, you're back in high school again. He's like, yes, I know, it's driving me crazy. He was like, there's the one thing I didn't want to have happen, and it happened. I'm like, that's modern life. The one thing you don't want just comes and gets you. Porn is a human right, yeah. So, like I said, I have no problem with the porn. It's just, you know, you don't want to put porn on people that were not like expecting porn. Like, unexpected porn is bad. You don't want to have like kids around when you're doing porn. Like, that's not. Most of us think that's a bad thing. So it's like, yeah. So you admit you joined in to watch it with him. I looked down. I was kind of like, I did like a double take, so I definitely looked. I was like, oh shit, look at that, porn on the subway. But like, yeah. And then like it was going for a little bit of time, and then he stopped. I got the sense that like he was looking at his email, like a buddy sent it to him, and then like he went back to looking at his email. It's like, yeah. Try a Turkish VPN and access to an important site, they blocked them all. Why would I do that, Tindarios? Why would I do that? Fewer students of traditional college age populate our recruitment area, and those who do are less and less inclined to go to college. Yeah, and for the first time ever, I saw someone actually post online that after 2008, the birth rates went down. And the only person I'd seen mention this before was Shane McInnes. But in 2008, birth rates went down. 2008 plus 18 years is 2026. When 2026 comes around, there will be fewer kids entering college than because of the 2008 financial crisis. So a lot fewer kids will be college age, and all that money that was like flowing out of like banks into like colleges and into like college towns, that's going to dry up. And so there's going to be an academic crash in a few years. I can imagine me saying, you know, that's fake. Yeah, you know. So people get augmented. That's okay. Why bring it up? If you don't like the job they did, you'd be like, that's fake and it looks bad. But just because it's fake doesn't make it inherently bad. You can be like, that's fake and I like it. So, not hating on fake. Like, you like what you like. It's fine. There was a maker, and she had massive augmented breasts, and like it just looked weird to me. But like apparently there's a whole subculture who have just like gigantic augmentations. It's like, all right, it's like definitely not for me, but like some people like that. Justified true, yeah, something. And Elise says, Canada has put a temporary cap on international students spots in post-secondary. I wonder how they're going to make up that revenue. Yeah. You know, I bet as soon as the revenue shortfall gets too bad, they'll open it up a little bit bigger. Yeah. So, combined with the lower birth rate, that will be hitting us with less students in a couple years. Yeah, this is going to be a big deal. It's going to be a very big deal in academic stuff. So, yeah. I don't know like who's really planning for this. But Shane says it's going to be like bad. Because, I mean, from whatever Shane's looking at, it's going to be bad for academics. And so, he's always saying he's trying to like branch out to give himself more classes that he could teach to make himself more valuable. But for a lot of like people in philosophy has just got its head up its butt, and so they don't. Yeah. Lumpy says, as someone who worked in biomaterials for many years, I worry for the wearer when I went with fake tits that technology is not there yet. Health issues long term. Not surprised. I'm not surprised. I mean, we have a housing crisis. It seems like this is their way of managing it. Maybe, could be. You know that the last Unreal says, I know the last decade or so Michigan State has been surviving on money from international students from China. Yeah. I know I went to Boston University. They get huge numbers of international students. And they make them pay a lot of money to go to BU. And they've been doing this forever. Like they probably pioneered this strategy of like sell like respectable degrees to like, wealthier international kids and just get all that money in. And they did a good job. I went to BU. I will say one thing for BU. They had good business sort of like savvy about understanding stuff, and they implemented it, and many times they were right. They've fucked some things up, but like many times they were right. You see something, they also say sometimes that like, we should have done all the stuff that we were planning 5 years ago, but like we're still doing it now, but we knew 5 years ago and we didn't do it then, but we should have. Yeah, an international student in Montreal can expect to pay $30,000 a year. Yeah, that's a lot of money. Harvard has several campuses distributed around the world just for that reason. Yeah, the biggest universities, Adam Fighter, exactly. They're definitely do that. There's NYU Abu Dhabi. There's NYU like Singapore or something. Yeah. Well, we also have in-state, out-of-state here, but like I guess they make international students pay even more. So like yeah, absolutely lumpy. McGill used to have the cheapest tuition. Well, they're subsidizing the locals with the international students. So it's like you're paying less as a local, but you're getting money paid into the school from the international. So it's a subsidy. So absolutely. All right. Author says, I teach at a relatively small Catholic university in the Northeast. Our regional reputation is dominated by the strength of our nursing program, and for good reasons. Quebec is also highly limiting in our province students, not just internationals. Yeah, you're local, like in-state, out-of-state. We're like that too in New York and like the United States. Very much like that. Yeah, so this could be like one of the schools around me. There's a few that have like good nursing programs and are like religiously affiliated. Okay, but the university has maintained a commitment to the liberal arts despite the scheduling and financial challenges. All around us, department schools and entire colleges are closing, citing a lack of interest from students and a lack of relevance to the job market. They don't usually say the second part as bluntly, but they sure do mean it. Yeah, see, this was one of the things that the argument here in the Daily News, the demand for philosophers, is saying also that schools are getting very job market oriented, which is sort of like stupid because then you're just like basically the arm of big business. And that's not really a good place to be in. If you're a school, you have to think longer term. It's new for Canada. The universities are not actually educational institutions, but your university makes 80% of their income on clinics. Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like a lot of places in the United States where basically football programs that have like a school attached to them, because the football program brings in like millions and millions and millions of dollars, and the school makes less. Lumpy says, yes, and just this week they asked for Ottawa to stop illegal immigration. Apparently the province received 45% of all entries. Yikes, that's a lot. Yeah, so. Yep. Right like that. Yep. Okay. In one recent report, Vermont State University evaluates programs justifying their consolidation or closure. Quote, fine arts is not identified as a critical occupation in Vermont. Yeah, it's like, okay. Is that what you're doing, only supporting occupations? All right. Author is picking on Vermont, but it's just one example of an ongoing evaluation of the humanities according to relevance, which is, of course, defined almost entirely in terms of market. Yeah, so this is just the psycho thing that's happening now. It's like, okay, if we're only looking at the market, like, that's bad. Cue a deluge of articles about the great financial prospects of humanities majors. These articles excite and energize humanities faculty across the country. One can almost see them waving these articles. Yes, they printed them out in faculty meetings, shouting, see, we matter, our graduates make money too. That's funny, and they know that. And Elise says, when you value professional faculties, the assumption is that the demand will always be the same. We saw this with engineering in Alberta during the economic downturn. The laid-off engineers were competing with the new grads. The laid-off engineers were getting master's degrees hoping to ride the downturn out, and then they priced themselves out of jobs. Yeah, And that's exactly the problem with the AI thing. It's that people are trying to, move to where the AI, like the new jobs are, and the new jobs aren't there either. It's like there are no new jobs because people don't know where the jobs are. And so it's not just like you'd think, oh, engineer is a good job. It's not the way things work at this point. So yeah. Lumpy says, yeah, when you were at Texas Austin, we get emails celebrating the appointment of a new assistant coach. Even tenured profs had to vacate parking during game weekends. Yeah. It's like, what is really the priority here? It's like, yeah. All right, so, and philosophy departments do make money usually because it costs very little. You just need like space for the professors. So they make money by bringing more money in, but like they don't make a ton of money. So author says, this line of defense may in fact save our disciplines from the chopping block of U.S. higher education. Money is important. We have to eat, and so do our graduates. But the relevance of humanities education is not about the salaries of our graduates so much as the fact that the disciplines and industries our graduates probably won't end up in need us, whether they know it or like it or not. To the extent that these disciplines and industries make use of humanities expertise, they might actually be able to live up to the ideals they so often put forward in mission statements. Indeed, mission statements themselves are a product of humanities style thinking about culture and purpose. Okay, so this is a good point here. I like this. Maybe we have to value humanities stuff differently because even though they say they need engineers, they also need people to write, like, to direct companies and do stuff. And you don't get vision through doing mathematical equations. Maybe you get math vision, but you don't get like, okay, where are we going to like, what's the vision for the company? What do we actually need in society? You don't get that by just doing the math equations. You have to know something about society to do that and have a vision of how society ought to be to actually then decide where to go put your engineering stuff. Exploitation with nicer word salads. Yes, I mean, of course, humanities go wrong. Like, you have propaganda. That's just basically propaganda. And so you have a very sophisticated propaganda and rhetoric. And I'm all for more rhetoric education, but you're going to get problems with rhetoric education. You're going to get better propaganda too, which is very, very dangerous. And so, yes, we're going to get nicer exploitation, but we're already exploited now and it's going downhill. And so it's like, so what? We need that better exploitation. The exploitation has to be on our side now. We have to go attack with our better rhetoric than like just the engineers have, because the engineers don't know what to do because they don't have the rhetoric that like the humanities people do. And Elise says, yes, engineers don't necessarily have leadership or collaboration skills. This is why they're forced to do group work that they hate, as was expected of them on the job site. I'm sorry, Lumpy, we're beating up on engineers at the moment. I work in a post-secondary institution, and Lumpy's like, oh dear, you're more cynical than you thought. Well, I bring everyone down to cynicism when you're here. I mean, that is partly my fault. It's like, you may have been like, exploitation with nicer word salads. I'm like, yes, that's exactly right. So, yeah, we have to go on the offensive. We have to be like, you people can't write a fucking sentence or even know what it means without, like, English majors. Oh, you're talking about engineering students? Yeah. And so, oh God, I should tell this story. My brother went to engineering. He got a master's in biomedical engineering. And he was visiting because he was away at school. He came back and he said the most awkward, dumb shit. And, like, everyone just stopped at the table. And I was like, forgive him. He's been hanging out with engineering nerds. Just ignore that. And everyone just ignored that. Like, because it's like my brother was being stupid. But it was literally like, don't fucking, like, say this, like, horribly cringe shit. It's like, stop. It's like, stop. And it's like, yeah, you've just been, like, hanging out with, like, nerds by yourself for too long. It's like, don't do that. Like, yeah. All right. Author says, to be clear, when I say they need us, I don't mean it would be really great for them to have some humanities graduates on staff to edit writing or whatever. I mean they need us in an existential way. At the risk of sounding dramatic, the extent to which they rely on our expertise might just alter the direction of the planet and our species. In fact, let's dispense with the us-them dichotomy altogether. If what I'm saying is true, we all need the humanities, theology and philosophy in particular, for reasons much more important than their relevance to the market. Yeah, see, this is my issue right here. we may have to reimagine the value of philosophy in the market, because if we're just saying, oh no, the direction of the market is where it goes, no one gives a fuck. If you say, look, we're actually going to start valuing what it is to have market vision, then maybe they'll care. It's like better market vision is actually tangible or quantifiable. He said, how to put this? It was one of these, like, these two girls were like, you know, kind of like bickering, and then he was like, now kiss. And it's like, no, don't do that. Like, no, you don't make like sex jokes with like random women. Like, don't do that. All right. In my courses, it takes careful work to cultivate a critical lens for technological culture. For many casual observers of technology, including my students, it is important to first acknowledge that technology is not valueless or somehow neutral. Most people engage with various technological tools under the assumption that their usefulness somehow implies neutrality. One often hears, for example, that it's not the technology itself, but it's how you use it. Yeah, this is fair. It's like, but like, okay, so they're starting to shift with what is the value of the humanities. Now we're going to say, well, technology has an inherent valence, and like a value amount to it. So this is one thing. I don't know how impressive people are going to be with that, but like, it's true. Nothing is neutral. Like, there is no neutral. Like, why would there just be something automatically be neutral? It's like, that's not the case. The only thing that's neutral is like the sun. Engineers are not necessarily moral agents. They are highly focused on discovering the engineering philosopher's stone called my get-rich patent. Yeah, I have a patent, by the way. Yeah, and that's true. He had one. He was forced into a work with a group with people, and one of the kids in the group tried to be scummy and steal everyone's ideas to, like, you know, start a company. And like, so the kid in his group falsified dates of in the notebooks so that he would make it look like he had all the good ideas in the group. And they changed the rule in the program to actually have everyone sign the rights away to the group. That, like, the group project is a complete, like, group thing. After that, because the kid, like, they brought it up to the professor. It was like an ethics thing, and after that, they said, like, no one can have, like, full rights to it. Yeah, it was really scummy. So, okay. Yeah, so one often hears example that's not the technology itself, but how you use it. This is untrue at best and dangerous at worst. Our technologies not only shape our experiences, they also reflect what their developers consider important or unimportant. Some ideas and values are highlighted and others are silenced. Students often enter my courses focused primarily on the effects of technology, with little skill in analyzing the technology itself, its history, development, and ideological valence. Yeah, so that's why I said valence. There's some sort of way and viewpoint that it's pushing on you. And generally, if you're not careful, it will include a corporate sort of stance too. Adam says, quote, they will lie, cheat, and steal ideas and claim. Yeah, I did this out because I thought it would be too cruel. No. That's what happens. Yeah. See, for example, the website of OpenAI, the company that developed ChatGPT and DALL-E, two generative artificial intelligence tools, one textual and the other visual. Generative AI differs from AI assistants like Alexa and Google Home, known as natural language processing AI, by generating responses or images instead of just fetching them. This, of course, has serious implications for any realm in which writing or creativity occurs, not the least of which is education. OpenAI's site is full of language that seems meant to head off anxiety around the technologies it's developing. The landing page even includes a, quote, safety and responsibility, end quote, heading in big type, with a link that leads to a page titled, quote, developing safe and responsible AI, end quote. As I tell my students when we study the Torah, that the rules wouldn't be there unless someone was breaking them or at least thinking about breaking them. Yeah, and I'll tell you what it is, all these sites, and you see this all the time, they're basically they're trying to, like, push the responsibility onto the government. They're like, oh, this is just the technology. The government makes the rules. The government has to, get off their slow ass and understand things, and then they will make the rules and we'll comply to them. That's bullshit, because, the government usually is very slow, and they're going to have to, like, react to bad things that's happening. well, if the the companies were more like cared about bad things happening, they would be more careful about bad things happening, not being like, oh, it's the government to regulate it, and then we'll comply with the regulations. It's bullshit. It's a delay tactic. And I saw ads on TV from one of like the major companies like around here saying we want the government regulation, and I'm just looking at like, you don't have to fucking wait for the government to make an internal rule about how your stuff is getting developed and used. So yeah, the page includes a quote again in huge type from OpenAI Chief Technology Officer Mira Murati. The key is to ensure that these machines are aligned with human intentions and values. They have no idea how to solve the alignment problem. This, of course, points to questions about the concept of values alignment, an interesting blend of ethical theory and technological capability. But now we're in the realm of the humanities, of the alleged irrelevant or non-critical disciplines. In the humanities, we know that value, safety, responsibility, and intention are hugely important philosophical and cultural concepts, and that we cannot assume we all mean the same thing when we deploy these terms. At present, companies like OpenAI seem, in comments like this one, to at least acknowledge that their technologies are raising questions on the level of the human experience writ large. How they proceed in engaging these questions, however, remains to be seen. No, it does not remain to be seen. We know how they're doing it. They are delay tactics, in my opinion, and diversions to get the responsibility pushed on someone else so that they can like be free to do whatever they want. I mean, the way I understand it, and if anyone's interested in this, like, you should go check out Globus the Elder, Philosophy Friends. He's in the second link group of links down there. He does AI and tech news. Basically, if you want to go talk this stuff, you can go talk to him a bit. But how they're dealing with it is, like I said, they're diverting because everyone is just racing because they're always assuming that there's another company out there that is doing it without, the ethical guidelines in, and so that's going to give them a leg up. If you can are allowed to do shitty things, then you're going to do things faster. I don't know if that's the case, but that's what the thinking is. All right, the charter of OpenAI is a case study in ethical theory. Thinking beyond current work in generative artificial intelligence, OpenAI preemptively commits to, quote, responsibility regarding artificial general intelligence, which refers to AI that approximates human agency, currently still the stuff of science fiction. But generative AI such as ChatGPT is a huge step towards AGI technology, and OpenAI recognizes this. Quote, we commit to use any influence we obtain over AGI's deployment to ensure it is used for the benefit of all, and to avoid enabling uses of AI or AGI that harm humanity or unduly concentrate power. That's laughable. They're owned by Microsoft. You think Microsoft is giving up any power it gets? No. It is obvious that ethical theory and ethics education have a natural place here, should these companies make space for them. Yeah. Basically, as far as I'm concerned, they're just using the ethics as a covering their ass with it, not actually doing anything as far as I know. Unless they actually have things in place to show this, which would be very hard to do anyway, then it's all just window dressing. At the center of theological education lie the questions of purpose, goodness, beauty, and truth. Under the layers of conspiracy theories, political ideology, and the swirling pot of identity politics that pass for civil discourse in our culture, we are once again coming face to face daily with such questions. Such conversations allow us to re-engage the question of vocation, the idea that our individual lives may be part of the unfolding of the universe itself, and that we have specific gifts for meaningful work lives. The force of capitalism has encouraged people to construct their identities around their work and productivity. It is not yet clear the degree to which AI will actually replace jobs, but people, including our students, see its potential, and it is throwing them into something of an existential crisis. Those of us who have devoted our lives to the deepest mysteries of the human experience find ourselves in a strange moment. The technocratic paradigm that so often threatens our disciplines has developed a technology that is opening a conversation for which we are uniquely qualified. What remains to be seen is how we will make use of this moment, and to what degree our disciplines can be brought to bear on our new technological reality. All right, so Katherine G. Schmidt is an associate professor of theology and religious studies at Malloy University, New York, and author of Virtual Communion, Theology of the Internet, and the Catholic Sacramental Imagination. All right, cool. So, this was, a little editorial article here. Is this, let's give it a little rank. Why not? We can do it. Not so bad. It was a good paper, yeah. So now everyone here now gets to, vote on the paper. So you use all the emotes that, you can see below in chat and, over there to my right and on the screen. You type in, if you thought it had fun ideas, you give it a brain dance. If you had big claims that shriveled up, you give it a grapes. Navel gazing, it's only for academics. I mean, this was a public article. I don't think it's going to get too many of those. The Nog Oro, the Ouroboros for deep ancient ideas. Scream for existential artistic drama. Turd for if it was all style, no substance. And the knife for slicing and dicing arguments. And you can also use the global vote yay and vote nay on Twitch. So, just as a generic up or down. So if you thought it was good, you give it a vote yay and maybe some of the other stuff. Let's see. What do we have to say about this? This one is difficult for Ivan. Okay. This is not like it was a super involved thing here. So Lumpy gave it a navel gazing yay. Adam gave it a brain dance yay. Thank you very much for your ratings. Appreciate that. This is, did it break any really new ground here? I don't think it broke a whole lot of new ground. They did it well, though. I mean, I thought like they had, I'm up here at the top. These questions that they brought up, who is watching us and listening to us, who is really in control here, what is happening with all that data, and to sum up a lot of it, cui bono, who is benefiting it here? Yeah, so Ivan's giving it a little half and half, and the grapes, because it's shriveling up, it didn't quite get what it needed to. I agree with that. I was thinking about the grapes myself. Like, this might get a vote yay and a grapes from, same with Unreal Brian. Like, it tried to give a, what's the value of humanities and what to do about it, but I don't think it broke any real new ground. It only came at it from, it was not clearly written. I think it was clearly written, but you're not the intended audience, maybe. So I feel like this is, again, geared more towards a little bit more of the humanities, it's in Christian century. I think it was directed not quite at, sciencey people, but more like religious folks. But yeah. So, Unreal says what she said seemed perfectly reasonable, but not much different from what 1,000 other people have said. Yeah, not a whole lot new got said here. No new ground. Nothing that addresses how academia itself has contributed to the current issues. Here's a weird mix of reactions. Yeah, I think I'm with you on that, Unreal Brian. Lumpy says no, plus it can be summed up in a single sentence. AI is new and changing big things, so let's milk the trend as philosophers. But the fact that she even brought up the milk the trend thing is that actually gives her, she's at least trying to ride the wave as opposed to, just shake her fist at it. It was like an encyclopedia summary. It covered main themes, but it had a finger on the pulse. If it was occurring, seemed something miss. Yeah. I think I sort of agree with the claim, but this prose won't win anyone over. Yeah, I think it will win some people over, but it's just not you. I don't think it was that bad. I'm mostly with Unreal Brian here. I think I'm gonna do the vote yay and the grapes. It was nothing really new. I thought for the sort of people that this was written for, I didn't think it did a bad job. I just thought it didn't do anything particularly interesting either. So, it starts off saying, I'm going to say something new. It said it kind of knew in the way for some people, but it didn't really, it kind of fizzled out. It said the same thing in the end as a lot of other people said. So, it's if it's not for you, fine. We got some vote nays in there. That's cool. I understand. But, yeah. So I'm just going to give it a yay, but also a grapes, which is a weird mix. Usually when you're throwing grapes at something here, it's, it fails to live up to its expectations. This one failed to live up to expectations, but I felt it was done well enough that I still thought it was worth reading. I'm not even going to give it a brain dance because it didn't really add a whole lot enough new to me. But like, you know, they've got quotes from OpenAI chief technology officer. They're calling them out for using all this ethical language. I was saying, you know, maybe we gotta like start charging people for ethical language. So that's yeah, that's how it goes.